Right, imagine a chess game, but every pawn is a panzer, the board's on fire, and somehow you've convinced yourself that one more turn is a sensible life choice. This is Panzer Corp 2, and the question in 2026 is pretty simple. Is it still actually good, or is it living off nostalgia and a very committed fan base? Hello, my name is Tom, this is LT Gaming. We're two brothers who absolutely adore gaming and everything that has a little bit of a bite to it. A quick shout out here, Slytherin have kindly supported this video. They've given us 5 free copies for Panzer Corp 2 to hand out to you lot. If you want to enter, just drop a like, make sure you're subscribed and comment your thoughts on Panzer Corp 2 in 2026 below. We'll pick the winners in our Discord, so if you're not already there, join up, and that's where we'll actually send the keys. Link is down below. I'm going to start this video with how I personally got introduced to the game, because it wasn't gentle, there was no tutorial, no slow learning curve, it was a full-on baptism of fire. Luke had to drop out of an online tournament hosted by Slytherin for creators, and I got rushed in as the emergency replacement, with turn 1 of the match being my first ever turn in Panzer Corp 2. It was brutal. First phase, I'm playing as the Germans, trying to find momentum, trying not to embarrass myself in public, and I managed a scrappy win in a map where you're supposed to steamroll them. Nothing elegant, nothing genius, just a sort of victory where you're holding it all together with optimism and a few stubborn units. But my time to shine came in the second phase where you're playing as the outgunned Poles, and that was the moment the game clicked for me. I mounted this stubborn defense where every hex mattered, trading space for time, making terrain do its work, setting little traps, refusing to let the German armor just roll through me, and I took the match off the back of it. And in that one crucible of a game, I saw the nuance and glory of Panzer Corp 2. It's not just push units forward, it was timing, positioning, and nerve, plus occasionally accepting something has to die so the line doesn't. So if you've never touched Panzer Corp before, the elevator pitch is this. Turn-based, hex-based World War II combat where you're not just trying to win, you're trying to win well. You build and maintain a core army across scenarios. Units gain experience, pick up traits, and start feeling like your lads. Which is a bit dangerous because the moment you get too attached is the moment you do something reckless to save them. The strategic premise is all about positioning, tempo, and combined arms. Tanks don't like being swarmed by infantry in towns, infantry don't like being shelled, anti-tank guns just don't like being noticed at all, to be quite frank. And you're constantly asking, do I push now and risk getting overextended, or do I take a safe turn and risk running out of time? So who is this game for in 2026? If you like your war games to feel like a smart operational puzzle, where turns will have weight and you're rewarded for thinking ahead, this is absolutely in that sweet spot. If you want a massive sandbox war sim with politics, economy and 100 tabs, this isn't that. It's more clean decisions and battlefield craft rather than a full-blown war simulator. And it still holds up because the game keeps handing you interesting problems. The first big one is encirclement. This isn't just reduce HP until it disappears. If you play your flanks properly, you can cut units off, collapse a position and win fights you've got no right to win on paper. Then there's combined arms. It's not hardcore simulation, but it absolutely does reward you for using the right tools in the right order. Recon to spot, artillery to soften, infantry to clear, armor to exploit. And when all this comes together, it is very satisfying to play. Detachments are another system I'm very fond of. Splitting a unit to grab an objective or screen a flank adds flexibility without turning into this micromanagement hell, which many war games can be guilty of, and it makes you feel really clever if you get it right, and a bit of a knob if you get it wrong. And then finally we have the heroes and traits layer, and I think this is the glue of the game. It gives your core army personality. It stops being tank unit number 7 and becomes that tank that survived 3 major battles and you refuse to let it die. And honestly, these all synergize to create the magic that is Panzer Corp 2. It makes you care about how you're winning. Now the elephant in the room is the content. The base game is chunky, sure, but Panzer Corp 2 I feel is one of those intimidating games where you blink and there's a million DLCs blinking back at you and you're like, well, what do I start with, what do I go with? So I'm going to break down the DLCs and tell you who they're for and who's going to get enjoyment out of them. Alright, a quick one here. If you're enjoying this video and you want some more any good in 2026's, deep dives on strategy games that don't get enough love, hit like, consider subscribing. It genuinely helps us grow and it tells us to feature more war games on the channel. Alright, back to it. But before I do get to the DLC, let's talk about the parts that do feel a little stubborn in 2026. First up, the AI. When it's behaving, it will punish sloppy positioning, and you're going to feel like a genius for setting up a proper pocket. Every now and then it's going to do something that makes you tilt your head a bit confused, and you'll go, mate, why are you charging me here, for example. Secondly, the game can be a bit swingy depending on scenario pacing and objectives. Some missions are beautifully tuned puzzles. Others can feel like you're either cruising or suddenly sweating because the time limit is looming suddenly and half your battalion is stuck behind a traffic jam of your own making. Now, I can be a bit forgiving here because this is scenario dependent. The third one, the big one, and what we'll come on to now, the DLC ecosystem. Panzer Corps 2 is a sort of game where the content is great, but sometimes it is a bit intimidating when you look at the DLC, and I think the key is not to buy everything, but to pick a lane of what you enjoy. So let's break those down now. Right, quick DLC sanity check. Panzer Corps 2 has a lot of DLC, and if you open the store page you know what I'm talking about. The good news is it's not 17 totally different things, it's basically a few lanes, and if you see that it will all make a lot more sense. Firstly, we have Axis Operations. This is the big linked saga, your career mode lane if you like. Long form progression where your core army carries forward, grows some teeth, and you get dangerously attached to some of your units. Frontlines is the theatre hopping lane, more self-contained campaigns where you pick a front, solve a problem, and then move on. Less commitment, more variety. Elite is the curated history lane, famous formations, strong identity, and campaigns that feel more deliberately shaped than just here a bunch of maps. War Stories is the spicier one-off lane, smaller, more narrative angle, and often more constrained. Great if you're looking for that change of pace. And then Allied Operations is the future-facing lane. It's framed as the linked Allied campaign line, starting with Italy, and it's exciting because it's signalling they're going to build the game out rather than just quietly shelve it. But look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you every DLC is a certified banger, some are stronger than others. But pick a lane that you actually enjoy and Panzer Corps 2 will become a very comfy long-term strategy home for you. So what can I say about the future and how it looks from here? The big headline is that Panzer Corps 2 is pivoting into a proper Allied linked campaign line, with Allied Operations Italy Volume 1 on the way. And it seems positioned to be the first chapter of a full trilogy that carries your veteran corps from the landings in Sicily through to the wider Italian campaign. And importantly, this isn't just one more DLC. Slytherin's own 2026 lineup points to 3 chapters starting in Q1 this year and going from there. So the intent is clearly ongoing support rather than a quiet sunset. On top of that, you can see they're actively maintaining the ecosystem. DLC updates have landed as recently as Feb, and they've done a lot of free scenario drops and tournaments to keep the community fed and alive. So if you're wondering whether it's done, nope. I think Panzer Corps 2 looks like it's settling into that long life strategy game groove, new campaign lines, regular content and steady support. If you played any of the newer packs, tell me which lane you'd recommend to a new player, Axis Ops, Frontlines, Elite, or are you waiting for Italy? So, discussion to wrap this up, is Panzer Corps 2 any good in 2026? Yeah, absolutely, and in a way that's quite rare now. It's a war game that's crunchy enough to feel earned, but still has respect for your time and your sanity. It really excels when you're playing it like an operational puzzle, using terrain, timing, detachments and combined arms to win cleanly, or at least maybe scrappily, with enough duct tape to hold the front line together. The biggest watch out is the obvious one, DLC overload, but treat it sensibly, pick a lane that suits you and it will have ridiculous longevity. With Allied Operations Italy on the horizon, it doesn't look like it's going to retirement anytime soon. If you played it recently, I'd genuinely love to hear where you land and which DLC lane is best in your opinion. Like the video if this has helped you, subscribe if you want more content on gaming in general. And I'm now off to convince myself that one more turn is a personality trait, a positive one. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye now.